I can't get my sound effects. Ray Dickey from Hudson Valley, South Carolina, CAI, and Association Help Now. Thank you so much for being me. Everyone's laughing because I just put my intro music in, but it was so loud. But thanks for being here. Much appreciated. HOA condo high-rise stuff. We are going to actually spend a lot of time today on don't let your crime score raise your insurance premiums. But I'm going to throw some other fun stuff in there today also. So we're going to bounce around a little bit. We have a great panel, and I'm actually going to have the panel introduce themselves right away. So I'm going to start off with who I see first, and that is Dawn.
Hi, everyone. That was shocking. I mean, I woke right up with that music. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm sure you're awake now. My name is Dawn Becker-Durnan. I'm a community insurance risk management specialist, and I'm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I work with Acrisure, and we specialize in insurance. In particular, my division provides insurance for community associations, condos, HOAs, POAs, you name it. But insurance, I'm excited about this today. We're going to talk about crime scoring, and I'm so glad that Greg is here as well, along with Tom.
I believe you are excited. You love insurance. You and Greg love insurance.
Greg loves insurance just as much as I do. And fun fact for people who don't know this, Greg actually spent his college days not at frat parties, but actually learning legalese and law and jargon relating to insurance. He spent 4 years in college mystifying himself with insurance.
When Greg was a baby, he was swaddled in insurance policies. That's how he started in the insurance business. All right, Greg, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Greg Girelli with Girelli Insurance Agency. We're located in Cold Spring, New York, and we specialize in community association master policy programs. Yes, I am a graduate of the College of Insurance, which was a 4-year school, and they drilled insurance into you in all of your courses. A lot of memorizing, a lot of work. So I knew I wanted to go into this industry, and I do love talking about it. It's a good topic today.
Was it like the Army with all you insurance guys?
No, we made it more fun than that. It wasn't like the Army, but it was still memorizing policy lines, memorizing coverages, and analyzing it to death.
Okay. And now, Tom, before you go, I'm not going to go crazy with the sound effects, but Tom thinks of himself as a very important person. And he's a very national known figure. So for Tom, we always like to start with a special royal music song to set Tom in the right mood for how important Dr. Inglum feels he is. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. That's phenomenal. So I'm Tom Inglum. I work for First Citizens Bank. We're a national bank, one of the largest in the country. To deal with association management companies and associations. We do lockbox services, credit cards, and a forte of ours is lending.
Okay, great. And obviously today I'm going to play around with my sound effects. I'm trying to set up some new things for future programming, so I'm playing around today. If you have questions or make comments, obviously you're probably watching the pre-recorded version. You can still send me questions. I still get them eventually through the report process. If you are here for CEUs, pay attention. Look at the description. It's important. There's a link. You don't have to look at it right now. You need to go to the CEU form. And after the live stream or the webinar today, you're going to need 3 time prompts. So I'm going to show this 3 times today, and you need to jot down the times. That's how I let the educational organizations of whatever state you're affiliated with, let them know that you were here. So jot down the time right now that you're watching, because we can actually kind of tell when people are watching and not watching, and give me that information. So I have, it doesn't have to be exactly to the minute. Don't worry about it, but just get pretty darn close. You know what I wanted to try to do, guys, if it's okay with you first, before we dive right into the insurance thing, I wanted to just hit you with a couple HOA and condo news stories and see if you have any comments on it. Is that all right? And it's funny because I saw a couple things here that involve you guys, and I just did this at random. I did a Google search for the top 10 industry stories, and I'm not going to do all 10, but the first one, Tom, is HOAs increasing foreclosures. They're from the Wall Street Journal. They're foreclosing on more owners due to unpaid assessments. Have you seen that from the banking end as far as assessments?
I haven't seen that from the banking end, but I have heard about it. And essentially, what it comes down to, in my opinion, it's based on improper planning by the boards. And what's been happening is now all of a sudden, and if you look in Florida where I'm located, they have all these requirements that you have to have funding. So these associations are starting to turn around and increase their assessments and special assess, and people just can't afford to do it. And then they have a choice based on that special assessment. They may walk away from that unit.
The other, and I didn't pick these came up by random. So insurance premiums continue climbing. Many associations are still facing significant increases in master insurance premiums. That's from the Wall Street Journal. Greg, I thought insurance was going down though.
That's going to depend widely on the area and the type of insurance. Certainly in the New York market right now, umbrellas are a big problem, having carriers and capacity to write umbrellas. So we're seeing large increases there, where at the same time, your crime might be a level policy premium. You know, your workers' comp might be a little bit more level. Packages, we might not be seeing as much of an increases as we were in some previous years, but very account specific and area specific. That there is still increases.
Dawn, I'm just working off headlines here too. So anything to add to that?
Well, in the South, we're seeing a tremendous drop in premium rate for property. In fact, scary drops, where I'm a little concerned. We are in wind season or hurricane season right now, which runs from June 30th until June 1st till November 30th. So we are going to have some storms. How active they will be and what time of damage, hopefully very minimal. But we haven't had really anything of significance since 2022, including freeze and all that. So the reinsurance market's doing great. As Greg pointed out, liability continues on an upward trend. And there are still very limited options for community associations, especially high rises, to have increased limits. So we're not seeing the days where we got pretty inexpensive, high limit $50 million policies. Some carriers are only offering $5 million in umbrellas. So it is important to reach out to a specialist like Greg or myself, because we're going to be able to keep you abreast of what's going on in the market.
And the rest of the stories, I'm not going to go through them. They're all not surprising. They're about reserves, and they're about increased costs, and they're about assessments are going up with these older buildings. So none of that is a surprise. So I like touching base with a little bit. So let's get to our main topic here. And we're going to have an insurance Q&A. I do have a bunch of questions I get questions all the time, so I do save them, and I will bring them up in a little bit later. And Tom, if you have any insurance questions, you're welcome to ask also. So don't let your crime score raise your insurance premiums. This was a topic, Dawn, that you sent me. Why?
I sent that on to you because I'm seeing in certain areas that we are either being declined to quote on certain communities because of where they're located. And also we're seeing carriers increase pricing in certain areas because of what is considered crime scoring. Crime scoring, especially from an insurance perspective, is using data that is from the national centers, including statistics that are locally from your fire and your police department. And the scoring is going to paint a picture of how risky it is to live in your community. So crime, arson, theft, all of those type of things are a consideration, because the more higher likelihood there is to be claimed, there's crime, there is more likelihood to have an insurance claim.
And Greg, I think we're going to have some suggestions on what associations could do or communicate in a little bit, aren't we? There's a little bit of some action that people could take. Is that correct?
Yes, we're definitely going to talk about it. This is just one aspect, and insurance companies at this day and age use hundreds of aspects to determine in underwriting whether, one, they're willing to quote it, and then two, what rate they're willing to charge. It's not, as Dawn pointed out, data that the insurance company is collecting that they're using. They're using the police centers, the crime databases, all this information, and they may break it down by zip code. I have insurance companies and personalized that literally break it down by street and sections of streets, that the rates could change, that you're at the beginning of the street or the end of the street, and it could adjust the tiering and the rate that you're going to receive on a regular homeowner's policy on that street because of the crime score.
I don't like it, Dawn, because I live in Atlantic City and
Mhm.
don't have the same, we're all the same zip code, and we don't have the same crime right here in my particular area where the high rises are compared to, let's say, 6 or 7 blocks down. Whether you want to debate how the world works, it's just a fact. It's completely different. But am I being impacted by that?
Yes, you are. And the unfortunate circumstances, we all are ultimately. And that's why it is important for us to promote safer cities and to do things to support our emergency services. And I really think it's important too for us to protect ourselves, meaning have better built, better construction, having security access points, all the things that we've talked about in a lot of our prior seminars. And especially with high rises, they can be a target. There's a lobby. There's a lot of people coming in and out. Sometimes they're mixed use, where you're going to see commercial retail stores or restaurants, and it's hard to identify who's a resident and who's a troublemaker.
You know, Tom, you're not an insurance professional, but you are knowledgeable of the industry. And from what I'm hearing, and I'm going to jump back to Greg and Dawn, your actual claims of your property don't have much to do with this crime score compared to the fact that they get dumped in with everything else. Do you think Greg and Dawn are going to agree with me and I'm getting that part right, or do you think I'm off base?
No, I think they're going to agree with you 100%.
Is that the status, Greg? So basically, your crime score, your own property has no impact on it, theoretically.
Correct. And that's where we get into discussions with underwriters, and it depends on the agent that you're using that understands this industry, like myself and Dawn, where we know you're in a city or in an area where it's going to flag a higher crime score, and we speak to the underwriter and we go over the factors that negate that negative impact. Whereas you are in a gated community, you have a security system, your experience is much better. And while, yes, it's falling into this crime score, there are other levels we want to then discuss or bring to the attention of the underwriter and the insurance company to deter from just generalizing you into this crime score.
So, go ahead, Dawn.
You're muted.
A lot of, to add on to what Greg is saying, a lot of underwriters ask us for a very simple question or a very simple thing that boards can do. What do they have lighting? That's number one question we get asked. And is the area well lit? Lighting seems to deter and keep a lot of crime and violent assaults down. And it also prevents or helps mitigate people from breaking into cars or lurking in the bushes. So those type of things, just as simple, again, lighting can really impact the insurability of a community.
So, Dawn, this seems to be, if a board or manager is proactive, they're going to be the ones that are going to have to reach out to their insurance rep and make a case for their community in this regard. Is that accurate? Because they know their neighborhoods, or not really?
Here's the thing, and Greg will back me up on this. Unfortunately, our underwriters really don't care. Meaning that if the crime score is so abhorrent that they feel it's too much of a risk, no matter what that community may do themselves, they could build themselves a moat. The underwriter will still say, unfortunately, the crime score is not sufficient. So what can a homeowner do? Well, that's where you work with your community. You work with your local law enforcement, your emergency services, making sure that they have training, passing referendums, making sure there's money available for those services to respond. You know, we're looking at tight budgets in a lot of cities, and Atlantic City, which you brought up, Ray, unfortunately has a terrible score, one of the worst. But crime is down now, actually almost 15% this year. And they're saying it actually has to do with some of the training, and also the local law enforcement has been more out and about than they have in years prior. So those are certain things that certainly will impact the crime score and thereby impact your underwriting.
All right, Greg. I just told the audience that we were going to come up with some suggestions on how they could help impact their crime score. And I swear, I just heard Dawn say, it doesn't matter what you do. You could build a moat and it's not going to matter. What is it? Are we going to offer people advice on how they could help facilitate and get lower insurance premiums in this regard, or is this why bother?
We're going to get to some of that, but we're going to continue down the negative route right now. Where was I going to go with that? Insurance companies can't do, like I'll talk about New York State, you can't do redlining. So insurance companies can't say, hey, Greg, you're in Cold Spring, New York. We don't want to write anything in Cold Spring, New York. And we're just going to draw a line on a map and say we're not going to write in this area. They are stuck dealing with the insurance department of their state. And what they can do is things that actuaries set up. And you end up with this whole rate and complication and tiering system where they come up with all these factors that they are allowed to use. So you do end up with an insurance company saying, hey, I really don't want to write in this area, but then they have to go and back that up. So they don't get sued for redlining. And the crime score is one of those factors. And in many instances, it is the high-ups at the insurance company that are saying, if the crime score is this, we are not going to write those accounts, and there really may be no exceptions or ways around that with that insurance company.
Dawn, are we mostly talking about like high rises and multi-story locations here, or is this affecting homeowner associations also?
Everywhere, even individual homes that are not in a homeowner association.
Tom.
So to the panel, on a positive note, would it be beneficial for the owners to have Ring cameras or something on their system? Would that help in some
Sure.
aspect?
Now we'll talk. Yeah, now we could talk about things to do and things to improve it. But with those going, there are some insurance companies where the crime score, it's not going to change. Then there are some insurance companies where we have more negotiating ability, and it is getting into more gray area, where we want to point out all the wonderful things about this account. We want to show some satellite imagery, explain that area in a territory that they own, this large amount of acreage that's kind of separated from everything else. It's gated, it's a different community, and point out all the positives, which would be security, cameras, access in and out. You know, they're right next to the police department or the fire station's right across the street. And then we negotiate with those underwriters because they're going to listen and go.
So Dawn, go ahead.
So that score, would that be based on damage to the property from vandalism? So if you have little or no vandalism, or it's just a global based on that score?
It's based on the statistics of police reports filed, damages in the industry, crimes occurring in that area. It's based on a lot of, I'm going to call it police type data. Dawn, so you can add on to that.
Hold on, Dawn. Like here in Atlantic City, we have a police substation in our building. We have super expensive bright lights. We just spent a bundle on additional cameras. We had all our doors redone. If the manager and the board communicates that to our insurance company, because we have a terrible crime score, is that going to save us money on our premiums?
Yes, it will. As Greg's pointing out, it's not that it saves money so much. It gives you the availability of carriers. And so having more opportunities saves money, right? Because we can be more competitive potentially. But, you know, the bigger aspect is the crime scoring is really from 0 to 2,000. And 100 is the national average. So when we're looking at cities and we're trying to determine, for example, Charlotte, I had an underwriter who said, nope, not interested. The crime score in this area is really ticking up. So Charlotte has a great website that the police department has every incident in real time uploaded. And you could see it has a little fire for a fire, a little police for a police officer, a little ambulance for an ambulance. And what I was able to do is take that area around the community and show that a violent crime, drug offense, arrest, fire, medical incident hadn't actually occurred in the last 3 years. That was a big deal because the surrounding areas in the same zip code were impacting this community. So once we did that and the underwriter felt, well, maybe this local police department division in this immediate radius, they must be doing a good job. And so that's where we also want to complement police departments and say, what are you doing? What's the initiative that's drawing down the crime specifically in this little tiny radius in comparison to the whole? Underwriters want a good story. Greg and I, a lot of our clients think that we're salespeople, and we are not. We are coverage insurance people, right? And we're boring. But who do we have to sell to is our underwriters. And that's where it's important. And we ask for a lot of information, but that's because we want them to feel confident and comfortable that the risk is much lower because they've done all of these things, the bright lights, the ring cameras, they have a incident report system, all of that good stuff.
Tom, I see you waving your drumstick. Did you want to add something, or were you just moving it around?
No, I think that's great, phenomenal information that I would say majority of boards aren't even aware of.
What I don't like, Greg, can I ask something real quick?
Go ahead.
What I don't like at our building is we have a liquor store downstairs, and that supposedly I've heard impacts our insurance greatly. It's not like these are violent crimes or anything, but that blows our crime score right out of the window here. How big is this radius, like Dawn was talking about? So here I am. We got our building here in Atlantic City. How well do they compute the little areas here? You know, how big do they take the info from?
Each insurance company analyzes it differently. Like I was saying in the beginning, I have some that'll take it down to sections of streets, and we have some that will look at it in much larger pieces. It's all how they're analyzing that crime data.
And what were you going to say, Greg? I interrupted you.
I wanted to give a what not to do. And I've had this question at many board meetings over the years, and I always advise in the same way, but we end up with people saying, hey, you know, we think something bad's going on in this area, or they think things are going on. Usually it's not crime score related in their community. And they want to put up signs saying that people are being recorded, but they're not going to put in the cameras because the cameras are too expensive. I think it's a very bad idea to put up signs that there is video surveillance when there is actually no video surveillance. That is not going to help your crime score. That's not helping you in defense of a claim. If the association gets brought into something, that you put up those types of signs, and usually the attorneys are on my side, that's a bad idea.
They're always on your side. Why do we still have to tell people that? Like some of these things that we've been talking about for like 15 years. I don't understand. It's
amazing how many times I get asked that question. I'm kind of shocked.
Man. Dawn, did you just send me a link for something? What is that, the crime score for Atlantic City? What is it?
Yes, it's the crime score for Atlantic City, but it's not really the crime score. It's actually called Spot Crime, and it in real time is going to tell you when an incident has occurred. So, for example, there was a shooting 7 hours ago on one street, and you know, it's going to give you that live interaction. You know, if you're an anxious person, I wouldn't follow it, but it is good to know what's going on. Community policing, meaning you and your residents perpetuating a safe neighborhood and area, is often helpful. Ray, you had a high-rise seminar in Atlantic City and brought in a great group. I've talked about them a couple of times that were to help with homeless people. And they talked about how to deter those individuals from congregating or hanging out in the vestibules and in the garage areas, those things. And one of the most remarkable things was said, be out and about. Don't look vacant. Come in and about, because those homeless people will move on. And I just thought that was true. In a lot of areas that we see are clean and kept up nicely and residents are walking back and forth, there is less crime typically.
Yeah, I meant homeless crime is generally more related to like vandalism and other kinds of incidents compared. Don't hold me to it, audience. The violence.
Vandalism is included in the crime scoring. Any type of crime or occurrence that happens.
Yeah, I think inner city locations get a bad rap sometimes. It's not. If you look at the Atlantic City crime score, you would think if I walked outside right now, I'd be instantly murdered, but I wouldn't be. But it's not as nice as Tom's neighborhood, where everybody's super rich and wealthy and they're driving around in like $30,000 personalized golf carts. But that being said, it's all relative. Greg's neighborhood too. I would love to send my homeless people to Greg's neighborhood for a while, let them have a vacation, go apple picking. But Greg would never.
Notice that Ray didn't say my neighborhood, because he knows that all my neighbors have guns. Hee-haw.
Your neighborhood is self-patrol. I don't even want to go in your neighborhood. Okay, so I heard a lot of this crime data, Greg. It's like outdated, so it's not even fair. Is that true?
It depends on what data that insurance company is purchasing and looking at and how they're accessing it. Dawn's talked many times about very live current data you're getting. And I have no facts to this, but usually insurance companies are looking at dated information when they're purchasing their statistics and they're going over things. They're not there saying, hey, a crime happened last Tuesday and that's why I don't want to write this account. They're looking at a period of, 3 to 5 years and a bigger period of time than that.
Okay. Tom is president of his association. It's pretty big. He's all over the place. Tom, do you have a lot of security stuff in your community? I don't need the whole list, but do you have a lot of it?
Yes, we do. We essentially what we did is we put in what they call vercotic cameras, very high tech. We have one on every floor. We have it in the elevator. We have it in pool areas. They have facial recognition. According to our agent, it saved us a substantial amount of money under a liability policy. And then what else we did, because we have a parking garage, we installed what they call flock cameras, which is synced to the local police department, the county, and the state. And if a vehicle is illegal in some capacity, it alerts them right away and they'll come over and handle it.
That is a heck of a lot of security. Go ahead, Greg.
That is exactly the type of information that Dawn and I want when we said that we're doing sales to our underwriters. When we can give a presentation like that and start explaining what is making you different than the crime score in your general area, Tom just nailed the information we need.
Tom, don't share it if you don't want to. How much money do you save? Can you give us some idea so the audience has an idea? Because I don't have an idea. What are we talking about?
I'll use the word allegedly, but $100,000 a year.
$100,000 a year you're saving. Go ahead, Greg.
It's hard to quantify because it's not a line item in anything that's saying that you're going to save over here. So I understand how you're doing a disclaimer on that, Tom.
Right.
I want to quantify it. I don't want to have a disclaimer. All right. So let's say, Tom, you're saving $100,000 a year with the disclaimer. How much money did you invest in equipment? But also I acknowledge the fact that your residents probably just love it for the fact that you're a lot safer.
Well, just do the ROI on it, that we spent about $150,000 on the camera installation, and they have a life expectancy of 10 years. So if you allegedly save $100,000 within 18 months, it paid for itself. And it's been very, very beneficial because someone could say, I slip and fall. We can see it on the camera. Oh, you didn't slip and fall. You were pushed by your friend. And it makes a huge difference.
Dawn, now I'm wondering, though, let's say you're out here, you're listening to us, right? And you have an association. You don't have this stuff. They're saving a bundle, right? If he's talking $100,000 a year, it's going to be around for several years. It seems like an absolute win to me, right? You could say the disclaimer again if you want to. Does it make sense for a community, though, to come to an insurance professional like yourself and say, hey, Dawn, if we put these flock cameras in, how much are we going to save on our premium? If we do this, how much? Because then it becomes a no-brainer, right? Because you're going to save the money and you know it.
Well, see, Greg and I can't quantify that because we're not experiencing the benefit. And the benefit is the safety of the community, the reduction of crime, the overall safety, right? But from a premium standpoint, there is no specific credits for these items. They're really underwriting considerations. And then the safer that your community and the outliers are, the premium rates may reduce. So essentially, those items I say are not quantifiable because we're going to look at more opportunities in the insurance industry for your community. So if you only have one carrier, well, competitive pricing is hard to determine. But if you have 20 carriers because you've done some safe things, well, then you may be able to quantify your costs personally in that evolution.
So Tom, what did you do? You just used experience then, or did you know you were going to save? Like, how did your community make the decision to say, we're gonna, or were they gonna put the cameras in anyway? You know what I'm getting at here.
Well, they made that decision based on my knowledge and expertise, being a former association manager for 20 years when I dealt with this in Chicago. And I did the research, I presented it to the board, and I mean, it just makes you feel, makes individuals feel more confident. And what's really amazing, it definitely cuts down on vandalism, I think, because younger individuals will get on the elevator, and the first thing that they do, they walk in, they see that camera, it gives them a whole different perspective on what they can get away with.
Okay, so I'm going to move on from this, but basically, Tom, in your community, it worked out great, but there was no guarantee. You never picked up the
Correct.
phone. The insurance rep never said you're going to save $100,000 a year, but your board made the decision based on all the information they had available to make that decision, and it worked out to be a good decision involving the insurance. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish everything could just be quantified. I don't know why you wouldn't just get a price on that. Okay, Greg, anything else on that before I have a couple other questions?
I think you covered it well.
Okay. Is there anything, one of my other notes here was, is there any security measures that could unintentionally create additional liability, Greg? Like, have you ever seen an association do something they thought, not fake signs, but legitimately put something in, and then the insurance company turns around and says, oh boy, now we know about this and we're going to charge you more?
I have nothing coming to the top of my head on that one, but yes, that's definitely a yes. I don't know why it's not coming to me.
I got
Tom's
it.
jumping. Go ahead.
Security guards. Huge risk for a lot of insurance carriers. In fact, we've had insurance carriers that are not going to write policies for some communities, specifically liability and umbrella liability, due to the nature of hiring a third-party security guard. The other factor that comes in, are the security guards armed? Are they unarmed? Then are they roving patrolmen? And I have to tell you, the most important piece to this is the contract. What did the association agree to give up or to do if a claim happened? And a lot of times the association has used the security guard's contract versus their own legal contract, and they've signed away their rights. They're defending the security guard company. They're paying any damages that are associated with that. There's a lot that comes in with security guards, and it's not just safety. There's, cyber risk, there's sexual abuse and molestation, there's assault and battery. So carriers look very, very closely at that. I have a lot of communities like, well, we hired a security firm, let's drop those insurance rates. And it's not that easy. It actually complicates the situation greatly.
Tom, don't comment if you don't want to, Tom. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have security guards? Is that something you looked at your community, and what was your thought process?
Originally they did years ago, but the cost outweighed the benefit. And then you got into the issues what Dawn stated, so we pulled back on that and do not have it. And we, in fact, we didn't call them security, we called them courtesy patrol.
All right, so I'm not going to do a whole topic on security guards, but you got to be so careful what you call people nowadays, by the way, if you're in the audience. So we had security here, and we did get rid of our security. I didn't really pay attention to what the particulars were. They said it was price, but I always wondered if it was, like you're saying, Dawn, some liability issues and things like that. I liked having security because security could do more than our regular staff. Our staff's not going to go approach a homeless person or something like that, but the security would. But that's a whole other topic, I would assume. Right, Greg? You probably spent an hour just on security, I'm sure.
Yes, no,
Guards.
Dawn hit an excellent one there. There's a lot of liability with having security, and they're not the police. And where is it all falling into line? So
You're muted. What's going on there, Dawn, that you mute so much? We want to know.
I'm just getting so excited. I forget about the mute button. Greg, brought up some things about, what we can do. I would add in that there are discounts, quantifiable discounts. If you have a burglar alarm, any central station alarm that's hooked up, fire, burglar, police, you will get a certificate from the alarm company. Submit that to your insurance carrier, whether you're a homeowner or you're the community. There is discounts that are available for those alarm systems, typically up to 5% of your premium on the property rate.
Okay, so now we're talking. Now there are items that you can call the insurance company and say, hey, we put an alarm in, and the insurance company is going to say, okay, you're going to save that much money. You could call them in advance, right, Dawn? And say, look, if I put this in and I spend this much, how much am I going to save?
Yes, they can let you know that in advance, but it is important that you provide them with proof. And the second caveat is you got to use the alarm. So if you're telling them that you have an alarm, make sure you use it.
Oh boy. Anything else, Greg, that would be quantifiable that you could put in besides an alarm and get a discount related to security?
Related to security, I mean, there's a lot of
Our topic.
discounts, but not that I'm thinking of for a specific line item for security.
Okay. Hey, Tom, I'm getting some background. If you could just mute in between. Thanks, Tom. Go ahead, Greg.
In most of these instances, and the reason it's not quantifiable is you may be with XYZ insurance company because of all of your current characteristics. And we can go to a board and say, hey, and sometimes it's, if you replace all your electric panels, you could be eligible to go into this ABC insurance company, and they're going to charge a rate that's 25% less. And it may be you've had these claims or whatnot, and you put in a security system that you could do that. And you're not seeing it as a line item from one company that they're changing things. But as Dawn was saying earlier, it's opening you up from, hey, there's only one market for you to there's 5 or there's 7 markets for you, and helping you with competition.
All right. So Dawn, I think this is my last question. You're thinking about putting a security system in, an alarm system. You have some questions for your insurance rep. People should just call you the day before your renewals due, right? To ask these questions. No, I'm kidding. Let's get this part done because it's important, but people don't pay attention to it.
People send us ChatGPT diaries that are 12 pages long, and we have to then, disseminate what they're really asking or getting to. What we want communities to do is always be aware, be vigilant, and from an insurance perspective, report matters that could give rise or circumstances that could give rise to a claim or an incident in the future. Insurance is all about transferring risk. And another way to transfer risk is to avoid it or to mitigate it. So in this case, insurance transfers financial risk, but board, you can do things like having a well-lit parking lot, having gate access, having key fobs, changing out the key fobs, making sure that if you do have video surveillance, how do you back it up? How long will it be available for? Is it in real time? A lot of rules and regulations that are written are also a great process for our communities to reduce their crime and also claims that could occur. I love prevention. That goes a long way.
Greg, I just thought of an item I bet you're going to tell me insurance companies don't like and it could cost more. Guard dogs. How about if we bought some like vicious guard dogs and put them around our property, we'd have like no crime. I know we wouldn't, but that would be an example, right? Of something an insurance company.
You'd have no crime, but you would probably have allegations of dog bite claims or harassment, etc. Yes, dog bite and insurance world. That is a large avenue, a large topic of conversation, but I don't know the dollar amount, but there is a large amount of dog bite claims. And the problem is most of them don't go to court. They just get settled to avoid the legal expenses. So none of them are usually huge unless you see a horrific incident, but they are a nuisance claim when an insurance company sees those on the loss runs. And they would not want to hear that you had guard dogs to protect the association. No.
All right. Let's do closing thoughts. Dawn.
Safety is being part of your community, being proactive, and insurance, again, we're there for financial compensation, but the insurance carriers, in order to give that to you, want to see you do things to mitigate your risk. So we talked about lighting, we talked about security cameras, but have conversations with your professionals, your management team. But I would also recommend a great tip: call up your police department, call up the emergency services, and have them come to your community, do a walk around, and give you some safety tips and really great ideas. Just as an example, I went to a board meeting in Charlotte. It was held at the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. The board holds it in a public place because it's more safe. The residents also have to get out by a certain time. But a police officer came and he said, hey guys, we're seeing some incidences of mail fraud and break-ins on the kiosks that you keep, those kiosks that are in communities, the big mailboxes. So here, this is what we suggest you do. Make sure there's locked. Make sure you have it well lit. We want to make sure your gates stay closed. If anybody, there's a system you can check your mail online to see if you received it. Make sure the residents report it immediately. Great tips goes a long way.
Greg, the ideal insurance community, it seems so boring. There's no security guards. There's no vicious dogs. There's just a bunch of really good lighting, like Dawn's saying. It sounds like the most boring place on the planet, but go ahead, closing thoughts.
We want insurance to be boring, and everything we've been talking about it, if you think about it, the insurance companies that are writing community associations, they're coming out to inspect these properties usually. And most of these things we're talking about are things they're looking at on these inspection reports. These are things that are going to help improve your crime score in your area, that are going to improve your association and make it more appealing to insurance companies. Having the well-lit parking lot, not having potholes or trip and fall hazards. It all ties together into having an excellent community. And also just want to mention the exposure. The police, if you talk to them, you're having an issue, they may say, hey, you know what, we'll send a patrol car through a little bit more often. The same visibility Tom was just talking about of seeing that camera in the elevator. You are in control of a lot of items that can help improve that, but it will take time to see that improvement.
Tom, remember when you were a kid and we used to love dark parking lots as teenagers? Like that was the ideal situation, and no cameras. Now, because of Dawn and Greg, every parking lot's going to be brightly. It's so hard to be a teenager nowadays. Okay. Wow, we spent a lot more time on that. Oh, okay. Dawn, go ahead.
Okay, I have to tell you guys a very funny story about security. So I had a client in Brooklyn. I used to deal in scrapyards a long time ago. And so the client said, we're going to meet. Come, and I knock on the door, big heavy metal door, and I walk inside and he has a pit bull. Now this pit bull was so gentle. I mean, she wasn't going to do anything. But he also had this like office system, which was surrounded by barbed wire inside the warehouse. And he said, we're going to go talk in there. And it had bulletproof glass. And then I get in there and he locks it. So I immediately start texting my husband. If I don't come out in 30 minutes, you need to come get me. So I said to him, so, wow, it's so sophisticated. You have the roll down door. You have an alarm system, lighting. You have all of this. I said, this is so secure. And he sits there and he says, yeah, I got shot yesterday.
Oh my
For
gosh,
real.
that's awful.
Yes, and he lifts up his arm and he has a bandage on, and I'm going to myself, all right, so I will be, I'm sorry, but the insurance just not going to work out. You have a great day and I hope everything works out well.
Jeez, that's awful. All right, CEU. Write down what time it is. This is your second CEU. Are you writing it down, Greg? You don't have to, but I'm just asking.
Oh, yeah. Yep, got it. 11:23.
Okay. He's not writing it down. Greg has people that write things down for him. He doesn't have to write down anything. CEU time. Make a note. You're going to need it. Doesn't have to be exact. See how I'm pausing here, giving you time to catch up, make sure you don't miss it, because people will call me and be like, I never saw the CEU time. You never did the second one. I did it. It's right there. All right. And I appreciate you watching, by the way. So thank you. So if you don't need CEUs, don't even bother. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Let's go to our next segment. And I got some great Q&A, but before we do that, let me introduce Tom here for a second. I don't know if people realize I'm not joking. Tom has a PhD and it's true, and a doctorate. Tom, just brag about yourself a little bit. I'm serious.
Where do I begin? When I was a young child, or
all right, never mind, audience. I made a mistake. I apologize so much. I forgot who I was dealing with, my friend Tom, and I allowed him to almost talk about himself. Tom has a PhD. He's an expert in burnout and this industry, and he really is a doctor. So, Dr. Ingram, you have we're going to do a short segment with Tom, and you have the Recharge Solution as a new book you just put out in a new group of videos. This is like your second book, I think. And I think the question is, and I did get someone call in, Tom, So I just want to go to them and let's see what they had to say. They had a question about your recharge solution.
Ray, but I wanted
Hold
to
on a
ask
second.
you something. Hey Tom, we're both big fans of Ray, but I wanted to ask you something. I work so hard every minute of every day, yet never have an empty list. Can you please help me?
Okay, did you hear that, Tom? Did you
Hey
hear
Tom, we're both big fans of Ray, but I want.
that? Did you hear them?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what about it, Tom? A lot of people work all day. Look, Dawn works a tremendous amount of hours, a tremendous amount. I don't think Greg works that hard. I got to be honest with you. But anyway, Dawn does, and I do. And a lot of people don't feel like they got anything done. Why?
Well, it's because they're doing busy work. They're not doing productive work. And what you have to do is you have to focus on trying goals and accomplishments and trying to get focused on what you need to, what is more important for you that day. I talk about the 1-3-5 rule. What's the biggest thing that you're going to get done today? 3 lesser things, and be focused for your success.
This is a real thing, though, Tom. I mean, go through the 3-5 rule so people really understand it, because I do believe in these techniques, because I'm a guilty person of not. I'm just crazy with the work. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, I talk about this when I lecture, but go after the things that you feel uncomfortable with that day. So, for example, a manager, they know that they have to write that management report. They probably dread it. That would be the most important thing that you have to do a week out from the board meeting, is to get that management report done. Then after you, and the other thing that you do is set time limits on it. So I'm going to spend 25 minutes on typing the report. If I get it done in that period of time, I'm going to reward myself with a cup of coffee or go for a walk around the block. Something to keep your endorphins going, make you feel positive and work through the process. And then after you get that most complicated issue done, then you go into 3 lesser things. Maybe it's returning phone calls. Maybe it's answering emails. Maybe it's walking the property.
All right. Did you guys lose me there for a second? Because I lost everybody.
No.
Oh, we had you.
All right, excellent. Tom, did you get through your commentary? Because I lost everybody
Yes.
there for a second.
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
it looks like I'm having an internet problem, which I don't understand why I'm having it today. Dawn, no joking aside, and I'm going to, and the same would go for Greg. You are a very successful individual, and you do have a tremendous amount of stuff you have to get done. What about Tom's advice, and do you have anything to add to that?
You know, I love that. I'd actually not heard that rule before. And I use a notebook. I keep that. I have all my things in it. And I actually have a whole shelf. I even refer back to them. That keeps me organized because I have ADD and I squirrel a lot. But what I have found the biggest challenge is when I get through my list, I almost feel strange, as if I'm not being productive because I've finished my list. Now what do I do? And that tends to hang me up, where I'll spend more time kind of going, what's next in developing my list. And that's a struggle for me personally.
I think you and I are similar. We're not very good at I feel like I have to fill every minute of every day instead of just like not doing so. And it's not a good thing. Greg, you seem like you're better adapted at, maybe because you have to run that big company down there, but.
No, all the same things. I mean, it is a problem, and I like how Dawn said that, because when I get through my list, I feel exactly the same way. I don't start a day without a list, making sure I'm making forward progress, because I get drowned down with busy work or just answering these items and going back and forth on certain things that at the end of the day, I always make sure that I made forward progress and accomplished things, but it's still draining.
All right, by the way, audience, I'm going to switch internet right here, so let's see what happens.
Now we lost you, Ray. We have your frozen face if all of our listeners are listening to me, but we know you'll come back soon. So is this when we talk about Ray?
We got to talk about lists, and he got off of Clint. For me, organization and lists has been a godsend, but not everybody uses that. There's, I know some people in my office use time blocking, which I'm not so familiar with that. And I don't know, Tom, do you recommend time blocking, and what is it?
Time blocking is a benefit as well. I mean, I make the comment all the time, if it's not my calendar, it's not going to happen. And think about all the technology. If you log into my email right now or send me an email, you can actually schedule an appointment with me, and probably the same with you. So it's all about the balancing act, about giving yourself success, and you should even block a time for you to have your personal time, a walk, a lunch. Just you need to reboot. I talk about this. Your mind is similar to a conveyor belt. It can only handle 7 items at a time. Think about how many numbers there are in a phone, or how many days in a week. So until you get something off your mind, you won't be able to focus properly. And that kind of goes back to what you're saying, that you're going through your list, and at probably some point in time you feel like, what have I missed today? There's something else I should have done. Well, that's how your mind is handling that process.
All right, Dawn, did you get us through that segment while I was gone? Am I back?
Yes, Greg
You did.
actually helped out there.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I do have a backup internet, but it takes a while to switch, so I don't really know what's going on with my Comcast internet today. But anyway, thank you, Tom, so much. And if you want Tom's book or his videos, send me a link. Tom's information will be in the description anyway. But Tom does talk all around the country, and he is probably one of the most popular speakers. Dawn, right? You're familiar with Tom.
Yeah, actually, Tom, you have a CMCA class coming up, correct?
Yeah, several, almost one a week. And the one by Ray will be in person. It'll be exciting.
It will be exciting.
Is that in late August that one is? That's awesome.
I believe
you're going to be there too, Dawn. I haven't publicized it yet though, so I have to put it out there.
I'm trying to advertise it right now.
I know. I'll put it out on Monday. It'll all be set to go and everything. All right, let's do some of the anything goes questions. Dawn, let's see. Could you hear the question before when I did it, by the way, guys? Was it loud enough? Okay, here's another question for you, Dawn.
So great to see you, Dawn. I know we both think Ray is terrific, and I wanted to ask, how can repeated water damage claims affect future coverage options? So great to see you, Dawn.
Oh, thank you. So water damage claims, I actually think that's one of the most common occurrences that we're seeing these days in condo associations in particular. Water damage claims can be from the hot water heater, the faucet running, the toilet running, wind-driven rain that's coming in, and roof leaks. Anything that's sudden and accidental, right? We're going to see as an insurance claim. So we can, just like with security we were talking about earlier, there's things to prevent. So insurance availability, obviously the more claims you have, you're going to pay more money, and there's going to be less markets available. But insurance carriers have been increasing deductibles, and they have also been assigning that deductible per unit in some cases to help quash the claims recurring or the severity of them. But I also think it's important for homeowners to really join in and understand that they have some responsibilities. If the toilet is running, you have to hire a plumber and get it checked out. If there's a leak, address it immediately. Check under your countertops. Know where your water shutoffs are.
Do you know, yesterday I did a segment with some engineers on leaks and detectors, which is great. And I have a question. They have toilet monitors now. So management companies are putting these monitors in your toilet to see how much the water goes up and down to make sure your toilet's not wasting water. So Greg, they're actually going to be tracking our flushes now. They're going to know like your bathroom habits based on these monitors. But it's all about saving, thousands of gallons of water. But isn't that amazing? Like how much it's just like there's going to be a monitor for everything you do now.
Next year, instead of having a seminar on crime scores, we're going to have a seminar on toilet scores. We're going to be tracking that data and analyzing it, and we can go over why your toilet score is affecting your insurance premium.
It probably will. It was I'll try to remember to put the link for that, or go to associationupnow.com, and I'm sure that video will be out. I thought it was so great. We went through all these different water detection systems.
From an insurance avenue, sadly, it makes sense. Insurance companies do want to pay claims. They do pay claims. They need to pay claims in order to charge rate, in order to be in business and do what we are doing. What they don't like is repetitive small claims. That is very not cost effective for their business model, And we don't want to see multiple water damage claims, multiple slip and fall claims at an association. We then know they're going to keep happening, is the assumption, or an even bigger one is going to happen. And that's what really scares them away. So if you're having multiple water damage claims, I would suggest putting in leak detection and listening to that seminar you did.
Okay, so here's my question from yesterday. This came up, and I didn't want to bother you guys. Can a leak detection system help an association qualify for insurance credits? Dawn.
No, unfortunately, there are no discounts for water sensors. Some insurance carriers, though, are offering them at no cost or a very low fee, but there are no credits available currently.
I'm serious, Greg. How do you guys remember all this? Like, how does Dawn know that off the top of their head? And how, do you have to like read updates, or you just deal with it every day? Like, how do you know all these answers?
Every day. A lot of it is the same information that we keep giving out to different parties. So repetitive.
So this isn't the first time someone has asked you about this. Okay. Tom, they know so much. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not easy like banking. You know what I mean? Where you just sit back and the money just rolls in. Okay, let me see what else I got here. I want to give you times for closing thoughts. I have a new segment. All right, let me show it to Dawn just so she's prepared for it next time. And let me see if I can find it. All right, everyone knows that's on these segments that Dawn's boys are amazing. They're amazing. They are terrific kids, but they always have some antics going on. And it's always good. They're not getting in trouble. They're not troublemakers or anything, but they're very exciting boys. Now, Dawn is completely unprepared, but you always have something going on. Dawn, do you want to share anything about your boys very briefly? This is a new segment I'd like to do.
So my older son yesterday let us know that his e-bike took him all the way across town, and he was able to follow the power lines, and he didn't see any police officers. So he was very excited about that. And my youngest son is going to start basketball camp again, and he's thrilled. He's been practicing his moves. I'm moved my office now. I'm in a cabin, but I don't get to hear the basketball all day long off of the door. So it's been a much quieter situation. But my boys, they're very good. They're excited. My older one's going to start wrestling soon, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. I always like to hear what's going on with your boys. It's much appreciated. I feel like I got to know the boys during COVID because they were home all the time and they would be on the videos with us, and it really was a lot of fun. Okay, with that being said, let's do some closing thoughts. Tom, what do you got? Anything quick, though. We got 2 minutes.
I think the insurance segment was very informative and educational, and they should board should deal with their agents and the managers to look at ways of being efficient, productive, and dealing with the crime matters in their particular property.
And just in case we're not super clear, because Dawn and Greg will say it this way, if you're using an insurance person that doesn't know anything about HOA or condos, you're making a big mistake. You don't even know what you're missing. All right, Dawn, closing thoughts.
Minimizing your risk doesn't have to cost a lot of money. We talked a lot about lighting. Very simple. There's brighter LED bulbs. You can also use plants, prickly plants, rose bushes, things that deter people from coming into areas along your lot, fencing. All of those things are great ideas to reduce your risk and improve your security.
Okay. Greg, take us out of our segment today with some closing thoughts. You're muted. And I did the timing of the music so perfect.
Sorry, didn't realize I was muted, right? Excellent segment. Just realized there's lots and lots of small factors that will help improve your crime score. Lots of little things that can be done that are going to help you with insurance. It's going to help your community overall and make it a wonderful place.
All right. I want to thank everybody for being here. Just feel free to contact me at the CI emails. CI is of great value. If you're not a member of CI, you should. Oh, we got one more time thing in case I forgot. You could just put down the time right now. Just note the time and go to that description if you need CUs and send it in. It's all on there. And I appreciate everybody for being here and letting me play with my new gadgets. And that's it. And I hope to see everybody soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.